And we're here in the studios in San Bernardino with Chrystine Julian. We're going to turn to kind of a different kind of show today. Everybody kick back, relax, unless you're on the highway. Then, just turn the radio up a little bit. This is just going to be kind of like the spa for the mind, a mindful spa, so to speak, where we're going to put our feet up on the coffee table here. And we're going to have a wonderful, enjoyable session with this artist, this poet, this publisher. Her name is Chrystine Julian. She's lived in the Inland Empire for about 12 years. Before that, Bakersfield. Before that, St. Louis. She's been around a little bit, and her original origins are from Southern Illinois. Is that correct?
Correct.
And she worked for the Anderson Service. She was a publishing agent and a distributor for magazines, correct?
Yeah, books and mags.
She worked with my boss, Russ Warner, who owns Warner International Periodical Services. I'll make sure I get that right because he's my boss. Warner International Periodical Services. Russ is running for the 40th Assembly District, and the only plug I'm going to get is go to russwarner2012.org and vote for Russ. He's running against a really bad Tea Party extremist weirdo candidate who happens to be the incumbent, but we won't talk
Isn't
about
that redundant?
Yes, these days. He's the Republican that even Republicans, Mike Morrell is the Republican that even Republicans don't want to vote for. The Republican Party wants to get that. Okay, but let's turn to this. Let's turn to Chrystine Julian. You also work for Handelman Company. It's a music distribution company.
It was.
That's well known, or was well known.
It was well known.
In the United States, and she was the sales manager for the Western United States region. That's a big job. That was a big title. You've published 10 ebooks, correct?
Well, books and ebooks combined. There are 10 of them. And so it...
Mm-hmm.
And if you've ever been up in Berkeley or places that are really progressive, and you've ever heard a drum circle, it's one of the most exciting things that you can ever hear on the face of the planet. I love drum circles, and you are a big proponent of that. Is that correct?
Absolutely. I carry enough drums around for more than 100 people. At the drop of a hat, I can open up the back of the van, and we're set to go.
Because you're not only a publisher, but you are a drummer, a percussionist, a publisher, percussionist.
And drums are weird. They're addictive. You get one, and then you gotta have another, and then that one's different, and then that one, and pretty soon you've traded in a little Ford Escort for a big Chevy van just so you can carry them all around.
That sounds like you know that from firsthand experience. You have a world famous YouTube video.
Yeah, absolutely. My shamanic journey, drumming. It was a little thing I put together. I thought it was going to be no big deal. So far, in about a year, I've got 21,000 views. But what blows my mind is 123 countries have got people who've watched that. Botswana, Cuba. Name a country, at least one person has watched my little video. And it's this 15-minute altered consciousness, alternative to drugs, put it on, and let your mind go kind of experience. So,
we're going to have some drumming here a little later on in the studio, maybe a little percussion, and maybe one day we'll have you in and we'll do a drum circle right here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we have the video here that people can watch, too, on Ustream, live right now on Ustream. If you type in KCA Radio, you can see us. We've got TV cameras here, Chrystine. I don't know whether you're aware of that or not. Or also on KCARadio.com, you can see our videos on there, and, of course, then you can find them on YouTube as well. We are a multifaceted media outlet, radio and video here, and, so you'll fit right in there, and we could watch drum circles and things like that. That'd be very cool. And speaking of radio and being multifaceted and talented, you've also had some radio experience. Is that correct?
Yeah, I did. And when I was in Bakersfield, although I've been a radiophile for I visited my first radio station at age 11, and I won't tell you how long ago that was, but it was quite a while. And have loved hanging out in the booth with people, especially on the overnight shift. And it's kind of weird coming into a modern radio station. I'm going, where's the turntables, cart machines?
Oh, yeah, turntables are gone. Yeah.
Exactly.
We have some in our production.
Carts?
We have some in our production. Carts, yeah. We have some.
But it's kind of cool the way now you've got video and it's a multimedia experience in the Internet, and even a little San Bernardino radio station can reach around the world.
Well, you've heard of Adobe Publishing. publisher. If you don't know Adobe Sound Editor, you're not working in radio. If you don't know what an MP3 or WAV file is, if you don't know how to edit those things, it's a totally different ballgame. I was out of the production on air end for quite a while in radio. I worked for Morris Desert Media out in Palm Springs in the office doing this traffic manager, and then I was out of the whole thing for a while, and I came back and I'm looking at this stuff going, what the heck? Where's the stuff? Where's my tools? I can't work with anything here. But you have to learn pretty quickly. And, speaking of tools, you've got plenty of them, and because you're a poet, and your tool is the spoken word.
Well, it is, and it ties politically the idea, simile, and metaphor. You can get messages across in ways that intellectual concepts may not do. It touches the emotions, and politically speaking, I don't care if anyone agrees with me. It doesn't matter at all as long as people feel and as long as they respond. Because I think if you open your heart and you pay attention to what's going on, you're going to do the right thing politically and otherwise.
And this is where, we have to think, and we have to be a little intellectual. And people listen to radio, especially this radio station, have to think. They have to be intellectual. There's lots of ideas. There's lots of diversity. And you have to think. And poetry, you've put so much thought into your poetry. I have 2 books in front of me right now. Your first one you wrote, Chrystine Julian is our author that we're speaking with right now. It's called Sensual Spirit. And the second one is called Meandering Mindfulness. And they're both just got so many pretty things on here. Published by Paw Press Books and printed. Just really nice books. They're available on Amazon.com.
Absolutely. BarnesandNoble.com, or they can be ordered by your local bookstore.
And like, for instance, they're broken into different types of poetry. In your first book, it's spirit. It's books just on poetry. Poems.
A lot of sexy poems in the first book. I gotta tell you.
Yeah.
Ooh.
A lot
I've
of
read
really
that
sensual.
One. You gave it to me the first time we met at a Code Pink meeting.
Yeah, exactly.
Books on poetry, closing thought here. It's called Kaleidoscope Life, and Real Peace Begins With. And then you have a second book called Meandering Mindfulness. Yeah. Poems from the place where we wander and wonder merge.
Yeah.
What is poems from the place where wander and
wonder
merge.
Yeah.
Either I can't read or I can't speak, but I think
you're going through life and you wonder what's going on. I learned a long time ago, somebody asks you how you are, the perfect answer is wonderful, because it means you're full of wonder. You wonder where you are, you wonder why, you wonder what's going to happen, and so it's easy to be wonderful.
And in this book, there is all kinds of sections of poetry in here. And I'll read you some of them. There's one section called She, and underneath it is She is Different. Or there's one called Date Night. Or Sort of Silly is another one. Or we're going to get to poems about rights and responsibilities, which kind of fits right in here. But let's go to that first poem called Date Night in Meandering Mindfulness. You wanted to read a little bit about that?
Yeah,
this is kind of about women's issues.
And actually, I'll share a thing real quick from Sort of Silly. I wrote all of these serious poems. I put my heart into it. They're social consciousness pieces, and everybody goes to the one under Sort of Silly called Chicken, which says simply, I would write poetry on poultry, but I'm chicken.
Poetry
and so all this great emotional stuff I do, and that's the one they like the best. What can I say? But Date Night was a poem I put together for a women's Take Back the Night event. It actually became part of the literature rack at Cal State San Bernardino and their Women's Center. And it's the kind of thing...
So let's have you read it. I can read these things, but you know what? You have such a great voice, and you have such a... you have to have the artist.
All right.
So here it is. Read it.
So it's called Date Night. There are no metaphors here. This is my reality, so I'll tell it as straight and clear as I can, and you need to listen very carefully. I enjoy the company, being a friend, but when I say no, I mean no. If you can't understand with your ears, maybe your shin, groin, diaphragm, or larynx will listen to kicks, punches, and piercing pain. There are no limits to the ends I will use to secure my sacredness. I am high priestess of my body. I say who comes in or is left out of the places reserved for the devout. No, I don't really want it unless I said yes, and I don't care what you think except if it is respect. I own my body, power, and sex. I'm not letting leases or releasing my rights to decide, so accept what comes next. Getting your kicks may be more than you plan. The ecstasy might take you to new places on a scale of holding cells and intensive care. Be kind, respectful, and fair, or beware.
Wow, that is such a powerful poem for women. That is such a powerful statement. We don't need to explain it. It's very obvious.
Pretty much.
Very simple. But
I think you ought to put it on a note and pin it to the door when somebody's showing up for a date.
I think it should be read in every 7th grade class to every 7th grade boys group so they understand to respect women and that no means no. There is another poem that I really liked you did the other day. It's called Who I Am.
Yeah, sure.
And, we've got about 5 minutes or so I want to get as much of this in as possible. Like I said,
okay.
Isn't it wonderful? She's got a great voice. She reads her poems so well. This is a poem from the Rights and Responsibilities section, I believe, of your book called Meandering Mindfulness.
And if I can get Mark and Corley to help me out here, nowadays they call it mic check thanks to the Occupy movement. When I wrote this, it was called call and response. So on the chorus, when I say, hey, hey, do you understand who I am? You should echo, hey, hey, do you understand who I am? Hey, hey, do you understand who I am? Your turn.
Hey, who's who? Respect.
Understand who I am.
I'm not a number or a statistical anomaly, not an unpronounceable nation from a fundraising occasion. I live, breathe, love, hurt, and heal. I'm as human as you and important too. Hey, hey, do you understand who I am? Hey, hey, do you understand who I am? Drought may have left my tears dry, but the sound remains the same. Don't cover your eyes or turn away. Don't cover your ears or turn away your eyes. The color of my skin is human. My religion is whichever deity will feed me. I reside everywhere somehow. Have you noticed before now? Hey, hey, do you understand who I am? Hey, hey, do you understand who I am? I have a right to speak, be heard without needing to sneak around, be treated with respect, and that's what I expect. Part of you dies when I bleed. My hunger is your own need. Look at me and see your reality, your heart's story unfolding. Hey, hey, do you understand who I am? Hey, hey, do you understand who I am? We are all refugees from another place gathered in this existence. We learn to huddle close for mutual protection. Only together will we survive. I'm not a stranger. I'm your reflection in different clothes, but still familiar. Do you see that you and I are simply pieces interlocking cutouts of one species? Hey, hey, do you understand who I am? Hey, hey, do you understand who I am?
That is so, wow. We've got 2 poems here, and we've only got maybe a couple more minutes.
Yeah, I got time. It'd take less than a minute. This is one of my favorites. It's kind of funny, but it's also kind of a wow moment, and it's called Who Did It?
Uh-huh.
And this is about tolerance, which we always need more of milk of human kindness with lactose intolerance. Lack of social tolerance stinks. It may be hard to accept and digest, but don't blame them for your internal rumblings. There are those that dine and delight on difference. If you can't stomach it, it's not their problem until you release loud rudeness in response to their natural nature. But please don't do it here. People will look at you with twisted faces and turn away their noses because it smells atrocious, and they all know who did it.
Wow, that is great. We've been talking with Chrystine Julian. She just spoke a poem from her book called Sensual Spirit, Meandering Mindfulness. You can find it on Amazon.
Amazon, on the net, search for it, search for me, my website, ChrystineJulian.com.
Barnes & Noble. It's in Barnes & Noble.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is no wonder as we wonder here. Thank you, Chrystine. Thank you, Corla Coles. This is Mark Westwood.
Thank you.
On the Political Hour, KCAA 1050, every Tuesday right here at 11 o'clock. Join us for some important information from political views and political news. Thank you to John Watanabe in the studio, and we'll see you next week. Join us on KCAA 1050 AM or on KCAAradio.com.